Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our series of webinars, Your Support Matters. This is part one, Foundations for Supporting Students in Learning. Today, we're very happy to present to you guys. We have Jackie Patano. She's the EdTech Instructional Lead for CBO D31. We have Brandon Chall. He's a Specialized Student Support Lead. Janati Ladnik is an L Coach, and my name is Teuta Ulaj. I'm an L Service Administrator. Today's agenda. So today we're going to cover a couple of important things, such as we're going to have a brief introduction to the series. We're going to talk a little bit about the instructional leadership framework. We're going to share our objectives. We're going to also discuss the role of paraprofessionals in blended learning. We're going to talk about the guidance for paraprofessionals during remote learning. We have a Padlet activity and some key takeaways that you guys are going to kind of discuss amongst each other. And then we're going to model on how to log into the New York City DOE Zoom accounts. You're going to ensure that you are using your New York City DOE Zoom account, and then we're going to share about the future PL series that are coming up. So before we begin with the actual presentation, let's just kind of conduct a short overview of the instructional leadership framework, which is advancing learning for every student. This instructional framework is anchored in three instructional priorities, which is strengthening the core instruction, knowing every student well, and using a shared and inclusive curriculum. The instructional framework is actually based on using the tenets of advanced literacy skills and the culturally responsive sustaining education as the lens for instructional planning for all students. The instructional leadership framework supports leaders in planning, organizing, and streamlining their school's work in order to ensure that every student in New York City experiences instruction that supports them in developing advanced literacy skills in learning environments that affirm students' strengths and their racial and cultural identities while developing students' abilities to connect across cultures and think critically. Now, the reason why we're sharing this slide with you is because you also have an important role in this work as you engage in supporting your students. The one area where is significantly important is the instructional priority area 2, which is knowing your students well. Now, you have the opportunity to provide the immediate supports for your students, and in order to do it well, you need to know your students well, whether you're an IEP para or an alternate placement para working with multilingual learners and English language learners. It is very important that you guys take some time to really know your students well, and in that order, you can also customize and insert for your students.
Our objectives for today are as follows. You'll be able to understand the role of paraprofessionals during blended and remote learning and how it differs from your traditional role. You'll be able to create a Google identity for the enterprise, which means the schools.nyc.gov account and the school domain that you normally use with your school. Additionally, we'll show you how to log into TeachHub and how to access your NYC DOE Zoom account and use it. And just to emphasize, collaboration and communication is key. Collaboration with teachers and communication throughout will lead to student success overall, and everyone plays a vital role in it, and your role and your work is key in that student success.
So now more than ever, paraprofessionals play such a vital role in students' academic, social, emotional day. think about those types of supports that you've provided and what you do now, how that role has changed during this pandemic and as we transition into blended and remote learning. As a paraprofessional, it's so important to communicate with students, with other teachers, related service providers, and of course parents. Because like Tayuta said earlier, one of those 3 components, the instructional leadership framework of knowing your students well, you as paraprofessionals are sometimes know your students better than anybody else. And so it's really, really important for you to keep that open communication. These are some of the traditional roles of a paraprofessional. First of all, brick and mortar. We are now in a time where supporting kids remotely. Up until this past year and this pandemic, paraprofessional support has mainly been in person, of course. Traditionally, you have been assigned to a particular student or sometimes group of students as per the recommendation on the student's IEP, whether that's a health para, a behavior support paraprofessional, an alternate placement para, sometimes a mobility para. Traditionally, you've always supported the teacher in implementing goals and management needs sections of whatever's in that student's IEP. Sometimes this would mean after teachers would teach lessons, you would then be the one to support the student during guided or individual instruction. You've always been kind of that conduit, that communicator between parents, teachers, nurses, related service providers, etc. You have sometimes implemented behavior intervention plans under the direction of the teacher, the guidance counselor, or sometimes the school psychologist. And if you were an alternate placement para, you have always been providing those language supports in the classroom by translating, and that has still been happening, just in a little bit of a different way. Recently, the Department of Education came out with guidance for paraprofessionals, and you can go to tinyurl.com/paraguidance for this actual website. Or if you have access to these slides, you can click on the guidance for paraprofessionals from InfoHub link above. It may ask you to log in with your DOE credentials. These are just some of the highlights. And, even though we've changed and school has drastically changed for our students, many of those supports that you provided in the past still hold true with a few small adjustments. So some of the considerations for one-to-one paraprofessionals now are to continue to implement those academic, social, emotional, and behavior supports as identified in the management needs section of the student's IEP, and as it relates to remote learning through the PAD document that is created for every student with an IEP. You are also implementing adaptations, modifications to meet the needs of students, which is inclusive of behavior. And sometimes that is also supporting families at home with monitoring behavior and implementing those behavior intervention plans at home. One major part here, and that's why it's bolded, is to conduct those individualized check-ins with the student and family for better understanding of assigned work, and also being that, again, that main communicator to share the needs and concerns as appropriate. Remember that teachers are they're dealing with multiple classes of students, and sometimes you as a paraprofessional have one or a small group of students, so you could be the best source of communication, and hence then be able to pass that on to the teachers and the other stakeholders that work with those students. Again, if you're an alternate placement para, you're still providing language supports. It's just maybe remotely now. And so this may look a little bit different, whether that is over one of our remote learning platforms that we're using in the DOE. Maybe it's over the telephone. Maybe it's helping them out using Google Translate or another type of app to help them to translate what they are working on. And one of the major changes is that principals can take an IEP assigned paraprofessional and ask them to work remotely in small groups under the discretion of the teacher. And this is one of the major changes, because up until now, Paraprofessionals have not been technically instructional. You're there for health purposes, maybe behavior, maybe language, but now you become really a small group instruction teaching assistant. And under the direction of the teacher, that is one of the real major changes. So what we want you to do now is pause the recording and visit this link, this Padlet, and answer the 2 prompts. 1, what are the types of supports that you provide for your students? And 2, how has your role changed during blended and remote learning? So take some time and reflect on these 2 questions.
All right, so hey everyone. We're going to come out of the presentation mode now because we're going to a little bit of interactive in this portion. So you're going to want to make sure that you are logged into Google Chrome. And by logging in, I mean just opening up a Chrome browser if you're not already in one. We're going to be working on creating Google Chrome identities. So on the presentation, on my screen right now, you'll see that there's a video there for you. That video will be for you to watch later. You'll have this one that we're doing right now, so you can engage in both at your leisure. So what it means to create a Chrome identity. When you're looking at my screen, you'll see that when you're logged into Google, there's 2 separate either initials or photos based on what you're assigned into. So if you've already put a picture up of yourself, you'll see that here, or it might be your initial. You'll also see that there's another image or initial up at the top. So this is what I mean by being logged into your browser. This here means that you're logged into your Google account, whether it's your schools.nyc.gov account, which is the new enterprise account, or it might be your school level domain, either one. But just knowing that these 2 different places mean 2 separate things. So this means I'm logged into Google here, and this means I'm logged into my identity. So this is the Chrome identity piece. So what I'll do now is show you how you could set up a different identity and what exactly it means. So this one right here, I'll click on it, says that I'm logged into jpatanio@strongschools.nyc. That is my school level domain. So that's the one that I'm working on for my school level. If I come down here, you'll see that I have other people. And by other people, it's me, it's my DOE account. And then we have my son's account, which is also his NYC students account. So if any of you out there have kids, you might want to do this for yourself too. So this identity has everything that's associated with this domain when I'm logged in here. This one will have everything associated with my DOE account. I'm going to open that up right now before we have you create your own. So I'm going to click on it, and you'll see that it opens up another window. So I'm just going to drag this down. See, that's my original window right here. This window opened up. Okay, and now it has a different picture. So just to show you that this is the DOE account, I'll click on it, and you see it says jpatanio@schools.nyc.gov. So the idea is that your Chrome browser now has 2 separate identities. It's 2 separate split identities. So everything you do in that initial one that I had open, your school level domain, stays over there. When you click on this one and you open this one up, it's going to have everything that you need for your schools.nyc.gov, and they will not cross over. So you won't have that issue where you go to sign into an account and it knocks you out and it pushes you into your other domain. The identity is going to keep everything separate for you. So once I'm in here, I could pretty much do anything that I need. See, I'm logged into I'll just come over to my drive, and I'll show you again that both pictures are the same because I am logged into this schools.nyc.gov account. All right, so I'm going to X this out, and we're going to go into actually creating the other identity. So we come up here, we scroll down, and we go to add. Okay, we're going to give it a name. So you're probably going to want to be detailed, like I did. I put Jackie Patanio NYC DOE, so that I know it's my DOE account versus the other one that's my domain account. And then for right now, I could pick an icon because again, sometimes your eye goes to the image easier than it actually does with the name up top. So I might be like, why did I put that? So the image might be more helpful. So I would do that. I come to add. Okay. And you see right here, that's the new identity, right? So now I know that this is going to be a specific email that I put in here. So the next step for you to do is to actually add the Chrome user. So you click sign in, and you're going to go through the process of adding in the Google account that you want to be attached to this identity. So I'm not going to add another account because I have mine already in here. But as you can see, it's super easy. It's the same sign in that we all know and we all love. So you'll put in your DOE account here and you will have a separate identity. The beauty of this is that even when you close out the identity, so you saw before I closed out, and I'll let me just get rid of this so that you could see what I'm doing. I closed out my other identity. There's nothing else here. If I reopen it up again, so if I come back over here and I click on it again, it's going to open up to where I left off. So it's a really nice way to make sure that you keep everything organized and separate. So again, the idea is that we want to try to keep our information separate. All right. And then simply, if you don't want to have the identities there anymore, or if you have too many like I do to demo, you come on down, right? Okay, and we click on the settings wheel. Remember, the settings wheel is universal throughout Google. We click on Manage People. And we come over here, we click on the one that we want to get rid of. See this right here? Oops, I slipped up. Do that again. Come here, click the settings wheel, and we click on the three dots, and we simply click remove the person, and it deletes from our computer. And then that's it. Real basic, real easy, good way to keep yourself separate when you are working within your school account again and the DOE account, which brings us to the next part of our presentation. So again, I apologize that we're not in presentation mode, but I am going to bring you over to Teach Hub using your DOE account. So all of the Teach Hub activities, all the apps and most of the resources in here are directly connected to your schools.nyc.gov Google account. Again, that's the enterprise account. All of us have it. You might not be using it, but you have it. You have access to it. So we're going to go back over. I'm going to open up again. All 9,000 of my tabs pop open. Okay. All right. And this is what opens up as a default. I could go over here to where it says Teach Hub, or I could also just put in Teach Hub NYC into a browser window. Either way, it'll bring me to the same spot. And then again, you'll see that it prompts you through that single sign-on to put in your username and your password for the DOE. Mine is already populated, and I'm going to sign in. I just changed my password. Okay. So once we're in Teach Hub, this is, again, I'm going to go back to the using of the identities. It's easier to work like this when you want to navigate to Teach Hub, because when you start going into Drive over here, this is going to ensure that you're not going to cross over into your school's domain. So what I'll do is I'm going to click on Google Drive from here, and you'll see that it's going to do an authentication process. It's going to look all fancy. It's not going to do it now because I already logged in once today, but there is an authentication process that pops up sometimes that you might see, and then it brings you directly to your Google Drive, which is essentially the same as every other Google Drive. It's just that you're logged into your DOE one, and when I hover over here, it is the correct one. So this is just the place that we're going to sort of be our launching pad to connect with the DOE apps that they have provided for us. So it's important to know that if you're logged into your school level domain, you're not going to be able to access some of the DOE features or the subscriptions that they have purchased for us. It might appear that you can, but you might not be able to access it. So while I'm here, I do want to mention that, like I said, you have access to this. You could log in at any time you want. You could use the different features that are available to you on Google. Again, this is not what we're going to be talking about today because Meet isn't on the agenda, but we're going to be looking at Zoom. But these are things that we will get to in the future. So while we're here, Zoom is what we're going to move on to. So again, just like going to Teach Hub, you could either come right here, click on Zoom, or you could simply come up here and put in NYC. I'll show you both ways, nycdoe.zoom.us. And that will bring you to this page where you have to sign in. I could have also clicked right here. And just to show you, if I click on that one, it's going to bring me directly to this dashboard. If I did it where I put in the nycdoe.zoom.us, I would just have to click sign in. And since I'm already signed in, it brings me to my dashboard. So 2 different ways to get to the same place. So just wanted to show you those 2 options. Once you're here, again, you know you're signed in because you'll see either your initial, or if you set up a picture, you'll see a picture up here. I'm going to click on it. This is to ensure that you are in the correct account, okay? You need to make sure that you're in your schools.nyc.gov account because that is the one that has all the permissions and licensing set up for us. And it is the way that we should be using Zoom within our schools and with our students. If it is not the right one, you should sign out. And what will happen is, if you haven't set up your account yet, we're going to provide you with some links where you could merge your accounts. So like if you have like a personal one or a school level one, you're going to have to go through a process of merging your accounts so that you're only using your school level one. So that's it for us. And that's how you're going to log into all of your Googles, your Zooms, a very high level overview of how to access everything. Okay, I'm going to bring us back on over to our slides presentation. And maybe do a little wrap up. So thanks for coming today. We hope that you were able to really grapple with the ideas and add to the Padlet and have some questions and thoughts moving forward so that when we go into our next series, you could bring back some of your practices, and we're looking forward to working with you again. Have a great day.